Hey, what's up? John Sonmez from simpleprogrammer.com. So I was thinking about this topic a little bit here, and I wanted to do a video on this idea of going too far. I think that a lot of people, they are afraid of going too far, and they think that, especially, it's kind of funny because if you've been watching my videos, if you've been watching sort of what I'm doing, you'll notice that I tend to go into extremes. But then what you'll probably notice is that I end up dialing back. Sometimes I don't. Sometimes the extreme is where I want to be, but a lot of times I'll dial back. And so I thought this is an interesting thing that I'm sort of naturally doing. And I thought let's apply this. Let's figure out how we could actually apply this, and what is this thing? So let's dissect this a bit. And I think there's a huge benefit in doing this. So this sort of started out for me with my writing, right? I started writing on simpleprogrammer.com. Obviously, you can check out some of my writing. Check out some of my early writing, like some of my first blog posts and stuff. And I had no voice, right? On the YouTube channel, right? Check out some of my early YouTube videos, like some of the first ones I did. I had no voice. I had no real personality there because I didn't know what my voice was. What do I represent? What do I talk about? What do I bring to the table? What is unique, right? A unique voice. A good writer has a unique voice. A good entertainer has a unique voice, right? A good YouTuber probably has a unique voice. But how do you find that, right? The way that you find that is you go all the way to the extreme. And you'll see if you go through some of my writings, I don't expect you to go through all my writings or YouTube videos. You'll see where I'm pushing up against the boundaries. I did this video on going to your edges, right? And pushing the bubble out. But there are places where I blew past them and I went far to an extreme, right? There were places where I remember the first video where I said fuck or shit, right? And I dropped a bunch of, and I went, there was a period when I was doing YouTube videos where I was like far over in this extreme of like, I'm just going to break some of the social norms. I'm just going to do whatever the hell I want to do. And let's bust out of this mold, right? And I went over there and then I came back some, right? And then there's times I did that in my writing, right? And I found the place where I needed to be, where my voice is most authentic by going to those extremes. Because here's the thing, like with going to extremes, and I think this is a great way to grow and to find your voice, to find out where you're supposed to be, because you don't know until you've tested the boundary, right? And blown past the boundary, you don't know where it is. You got to find where that line is, where that fine line is, where you're in your comfort zone. Think of it like a singer, right? Singing a few octaves, right? Singers have vocal ranges, right? They can sing, however many octaves below and above. I don't know, I'm not a singer, but this is what I hear. So anyway, so imagine that someone could sing like 2 octaves higher in their range. They have this wide range. So they're practicing going to the top of the range, to the bottom of the range, places where they're not going normally. Now, when they normally sing, they're probably going to bring a lot more energy, a lot more loudness, a lot more volume to what they're singing, because it's so within their range, right? If you've gone to the extremes, then when you're going down the normal path, you can bring more intensity, you can bring more of that, and you have this ability suddenly to go all the way out to here, and suddenly to go all the way out to the other end, because you know that that's now within your range, because you've gone there, you've been there, right? This is important in not just your skills, right? It's important in your skills, but just as you as a person, is your personality dynamic. Do you know what it's like to be an asshole? If you don't, then how can you really be nice? See, now, again, I'm not saying walk around and be a dick to everyone, but I'm saying try that on for a little bit and see how that works for you. Do you know how it is to be extremely nice and pleasing and to be extremely courteous or zen-like or very calm, right? Or very wild, very inhibited, very uninhibited, right? Have you gone to those extremes? If you haven't gone to those extremes and explored your personality in those ways, then your character is lacking some depth. Not saying live there, right? But you got to experiment. You got to be not afraid to go out there and go to those places. And that applies in your professional life, right? Have you gone, for you programmers out there, it should be most of you actually, but Have you written code without any comments? Have you written code with lots of comments? Have you gone and made the kind of mistakes that you need to make in order to taper things down, right? Have you tried going to these extremes? In fitness, have you tried going to the extremes? Have you tested your limits? Have you gone past them? Right? If you want to become a better writer, if you want to become a better producer of any kind of content, probably an artist, right? I did this video on the Van Gogh Museum when I went there, and that dude, Van Gogh, I mean, he went to extremes. Like, you look at his paintings, right? And he tried all kinds of shit. He was like, oh, I'm gonna go and do this all dark, and I'm gonna do all this in crazy brushstrokes, and he tried all these different things and went to these extremes, and he found what was his style by doing that. You look at his experimentation and you see that. So that's what I'm telling you here is you got to sometimes blow past the boundaries. Go ahead and go so far into the extreme. It's okay. You're going to come back. You're going to come back from it, right? It's not a permanent, right? But try it on. See what it's like to wear a suit to work or whatever, you know what I mean? Just like experiment with these different things, with going to these extremes. And then you'll come back and you'll dial it in and you'll find out where you belong. And it might be somewhere on the further end of the spectrum than what you thought. But most of the time what's going to happen is you're going to dial it back and you're going to find where you're supposed to be, but you're going to have the ability to go there. Because if you've been there, right, if you've done that thing, if you know that you've tested the limit, right, then all of a sudden, like the normal daily thing is you're able to bring it better there, and you know in the back of your head you can go there. You've been there before. You've seen that before, right? So anyway, I think that's a good experiment, a good way in a philosophy to have in life is to go ahead and go to these extremes, to push these boundaries, to go far into it, knowing that you're going to come back, knowing that that you got to try this on, and you'll see it again. I use my life as an example, but a lot of people say, "Dang, John, what is your new obsession about for this week? Like, you're crazy about doing this thing, and you're going so extreme in this. This is not healthy, bro. This is not good for you." Yeah, I agree. In the long term, I'm not going to stay there, but I'm going there right now. I might be wrong. I might be totally wrong here, right? But I'm going to go there, and I'm going to see what it's like to live there. Try on those shoes, and then I'm going to figure out where I need to bring it back, where I need to be, where's the actual comfort zone. But I got to get out of my comfort zone, so far out of my comfort zone, and bring it all the way to the edge, all the way to the extreme, so that I can dial it back in. And maybe you need to as well, right? How small is your bubble? Maybe you need to expand it out. Maybe you need to swing that out. One thing I believe about, in technology is that the pendulum swings from the left to the right? We go from desktop apps to web and back and forth through, Silverlight and spa applications and thick clients and mobile thick clients to web-based clients, React.js, all this. But the whole time this pendulum is swinging back and forth, it's moving forward, right? And what I've come to realize is that if the pendulum does not swing back and forth, it doesn't move forward. It doesn't move in the Z direction. It has to go in the X and Y direction in order it's slowly moving in the Z direction. So the same is true with you. If you're not moving in the X and Y direction, you're probably not moving in the Z direction. You're not getting depth, right? You got to go back and forth from extremes to get depth a lot of times. So anyway, I would challenge you to think about that, see how you could apply that to your life. If you like this video, subscribe, and I will talk to you next time. Take care.